My name is Heather Morrow. After going through the death of a loved one or a traumatic situation, how do you move forward? So grab a cup of coffee and join us. You know, the last time we were talking, Shannon, we were talking about how when we trust God and we try to fix it and we try to do it our way and we think we know best, and some of it may be what we've been taught and how we think things should come out. And so when it doesn't happen the way we prayed or thought that it was going to happen, now, now how do we walk through that? And so what I really want to talk about today is kind of how, as you start approaching the next year, the different things that you go through, the different emotions, the memories start popping up in the social media age. I mean, that's what's been happening. Yeah, that time hop just pops up and it's like, so there it is, and then it starts back. But there's a healthy way to remember those things, and then there's a non-healthy way. So why don't you share a little bit about that?
It was a year that my sister passed away on August 17th. The first 6 or 8 months, I did really well. Like, I had just a constant peace and desire to keep moving forward. Like, I knew, the Lord was commanding, and like I knew that she would want. And then July hit me hard. And I would literally sometimes lay in bed and have actual memories, relive some really bad days and really bad nights, tormenting, And I only went through it a few days, and then it just hit me that this is not from you, Lord. Like, this is the enemy. This is the devil tormenting me. Because, it was bringing some fear and some anxiety and some doubt. Anyway, I never doubted God, but I doubted myself. Like, could I have done something different? And I kind of took authority over it, and I want to say it completely went away, but it didn't. I would still kind of wake up, and I would have moments where a time hop or a friend calling, one of her, her friends, or someone that just loved her that wasn't really strong in the Lord yet, it would resurface. It resurfaced a lot. The month of July was hard, and I didn't even like admitting that, really, because I felt like I had kind of done a good job. And I even had a moment where I was out at her grave at the cemetery, and I was just going to change something for my grandma. And I got so overwhelmed with emotion. And I saw a car, I'm surprised I'm sharing this. I saw a car that I recognized, and I hid. I tried to hide because I didn't want them to see me upset. And while I was laying on the ground hiding, I felt embarrassed. And I was like, Lord, what am I doing? And I felt like he said, I don't know, get up, And I did. But it was all just little attacks, sneak attacks that I didn't prepare for. And there's not really a way to prepare. Yeah. But I did have peace in knowing that grieving was something you are most certainly allowed to do your whole life. As long as I'm on earth without my sister, there are going to be moments that my heart is broken over that. But is it going to stop me from doing what God calls me to do? Absolutely not. It's not. It's not going to stop me, It's not going to stop me from telling people they love him, that he loves them. It's not going to stop me from believing that he is going to eradicate cancer off the face of the earth in my lifetime. It's not going to stop me. But I will grieve the loss of my sister, probably until I'm in heaven with her, know. Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I think that's super important to know, is that there's not a timetable. And you said it. We don't know what's going to come. This is our first time walking through this. Yeah. And when I talk to so many people that have lost loved ones, and other people try so hard to comfort you, and it's an awkward situation on both ends.
It is, because I know for myself, and I think we have this in common maybe, is I don't really need comforted from other people. I need encouragement and friendship and love, but I know my God.
That's it.
And I know He's going to comfort me. And
Yeah.
I know that peace can come right back when the enemy's trying to torment me.
That's right.
You know, and I trust that and I believe it, and He does it. He delivers me every time.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I know people mean well. Like they're trying to help you, you know, but I just think that it's not, I think that they are going on with their, it's hard because they kind of go on with their normal lives. Nothing really changed in their life. Even if they lost a best friend or a distant cousin or something, like their life's still going on.
That's it.
You know, and they may think of you and they love you but they're still moving on. So when they kind of look at you or they want to say something or reach out, it's awkward. And I kind of hope people from this really get that to take that pressure off of having to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's not, our lives are never going to be the same.
No.
Never. But they're not going to be bad. They're still going to be good.
That's it.
And because we're choosing the good and we're choosing God, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that if they realize, like when they finally realize that, like, she's good. It's okay if she's crying at the cemetery. Like, you know, it's okay, you know. I think when they realize that it takes the pressure off them to have to either avoid us or to love us more.
That's it.
You know.
And you said that one of our first episodes that you lost some friends through that.
Yeah.
And it is the truth. I remember one day I ran into a couple people out and about at a grocery store, and they didn't even speak to me.
Yeah.
And like I made the effort to go up to them because I thought, you know, why? And then the whole time I was in the store, it was just such an awkward exchange.
Yeah.
It's just my mind was going nuts.
Yeah.
Until I just couldn't let it go. And so later on that day, as I couldn't quit thinking about it, I messaged her and I was like, is everything okay between us? And she responded back, and it just caught me so off at the time that, well, good grief, no. It's just the first time I've seen you since David passed, and I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, then I could talk with her and say, it's okay. Honestly, one thing that I have learned is sometimes if you don't know what to say, don't say anything.
No.
Just give them a hug.
Yeah.
Because I had that same thing happen. I was coming out. It was kind of like you telling me about the coffee shop. I was coming out of a store one day, and this woman that I hadn't seen probably since David's memorial was sitting in her car, right beside my car. And when I walked up, she rolled down her window and she said, Heather. She got out of her car and she goes, and I started to talk to her, and she said, stop. I'm supposed to do this. Holy Spirit told me I was going to run into you today, and this is what I'm supposed to do. She grabbed a hold of me in the parking lot and just held me.
Yeah.
And she said, I was supposed to hold you and tell you you're loved.
Yeah.
Holy cow. How that meant so much to me. Yeah. I didn't have to respond back. I didn't have to say anything back. She didn't even let me say anything back. I just had to receive the love, and I knew it was coming straight from the Lord.
Yeah.
Like you said.
And I had in a moment almost so similar to that, where I was going into a flower shop in town, and I ran into a woman that I had loved. I mean, an older woman that I had loved, and I hadn't seen her yet even since before Heather passed away, and she did that too. As soon as I saw her, I had a moment where I almost was like, oh, I almost wanted to turn around and leave, like, and she just said, don't say a word. I just want to hug you. I'm just supposed to hug you. And she just held me, and I felt like the Lord was embracing me. Yeah. Like the simple obedience of another person to just take the pressure off and love each other. That's like we're supposed to.
How simple.
It's so simple.
Let's talk about that for a second, about how you kind of, when you first saw her, it was kind of like, because, you know, that's something that I think you deal with a lot when you've lost a loved one. Once you get through the memorial services and the people being around, there comes this place that you don't want to run into people.
No.
And going to the grocery store, going to church, going anywhere in
Your
public.
kids' ball games, to anything. Yeah. It was hard for me. Where I'm from, Johnston City, and my sister was, our whole family lives there. And I dreaded for a period of time going to anything. And it wasn't because I didn't know I was well loved, and it was because I didn't want to have to put on an act. I didn't want to have to be the one pouring the love of the Lord out on everyone else that didn't know what to do. And some of that was the wrong way to do it. I know that. Like, I felt like the Lord corrected me on that. Like, no, you have this ability to love them to me. So do it, Yeah. But he did give me grace for a rest period where when I did run into her old friends or people that, that hadn't seen me or I was able to not want to hide. I mean, I had moments where I've hid. Like, my husband, he makes fun of me. I've hid in the grocery store a couple times. Yeah. And anyone that ever watches this is going to be like, is that me?
On the ground, saying to God, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why are you?
Yeah, get up, get up and say hi, But I did have moments where I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to pretend that I was okay at that moment, and because I'm always okay in here, but there are days that you're not okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Not to overuse the word okay,
No, but that's huge.
Yeah,
That is huge, because when you realize that they're the genuine people that really care about you, they don't expect you to be okay every single day.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah. And I've learned, my daughter and I were laughing just yesterday because there are a lot of phone calls that you have to have after you lose a loved one, changing names on things, with me especially, with it being my husband. And I'll call and I'll be trying to take care of just business things, and I'll say, my husband passed away in January, or they'll say, well, what about Mr. Marr? And I'll say, well, he passed away in January. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Thank you. That whole exchange right there. Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. It's like, that's awkward for both too, and, but one of the things that I've learned is it's okay if I start crying on the phone with them for a second until I get my composure. Yeah. It's okay if I'm at the grocery store and I'm having a bad day and I run into somebody I know and they say, how are you? It's okay to say, I'll be honest, I'm not having a good day. Yeah. Usually that's when it's easier for them to respond with a hug. Because if I'm being fake, fakeness, then they don't know how to respond but to be fake either.
Back. Yeah.
And it's okay. Nobody expects you to have it all together. No. And if they do, then you just need to not worry about that person, because if they haven't walked where you have, they just don't understand what internally you're going through. Yeah. Everything can seem fine on the outside. But then there's that part, and I don't know if you've gone through this too, where when you are having a good day and then someone says, how are you, Shannon? Yeah. And you're like, I'm fine.
I was really good.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I do think I think there's two camps of people. The people who unrealistically want you to be okay, and the people who almost want you to wonder why you're not more sad. Because I've had both. I've had people like avoid me, thinking I have to be like devastated all the time, and I've had people say like, well, why aren't you sadder? Well, do you really believe that? Well, why, like, are you sure you're okay? If you ever need to talk? And it's like, I am actually okay. Like,
I'm having a good day.
I'm good, and I feel like that when that happens, it goes both ways. I get in a kind of false mode where I'm like, I repeat things like, oh, I know she, you hear people even say like, she's in a better place, like those random cliche things. And I'm like, yeah.
But I want her here.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. But I'm going to hide now in the grocery. No. But so I think that everyone's learning and growing, and that conversations like this take the pressure off of people feeling like they have to be fake or react, period. Like, just love. That's the only reaction we need.
And like you said too, I don't think it'll ever end until we reunite with them in heaven one day.
I don't either. I think that there's no way it can when your heart is knit together with like your husband or your sister. There's no way that you don't feel that loss and you're on a soul level forever. Yeah. What matters is what you do with it. Do you stay and sink into depression and let the enemy torment you, or do you do what the Lord's called you to do because you're still here to do something?
Right.
So it's what you do with it.
I want us to come back and talk about that.
Okay.
Because the going forward part, and that's kind of even what we're doing today,
Yeah.
is our going forward. Click subscribe so you won't miss it. There's more to come with Shannon, so be sure to join us for the next episode. And if you'd like to know more about morning coffee, check out our blog. The link is below.